Joshua Faye Saunders, aka KingCobraJFS, was born to parents Clint and Laura. Clinton Dean Saunders was born on the 15th of September 1969 in Casper, Wyoming, to parents Alan and Sandy. Josh's biological mother's name is Laura Debbie Ann Goodrow, born February 1971, and is believed to be from Cheyenne. She graduated from Wheatland High School in Wyoming. Clint was diagnosed with ADHD, and his parents were very strict with him. According to Josh, they were strict with him because they thought it was their fault that Clint had ADHD. Clint went to Natrona High School in Casper, Wyoming, and had a passion for gymnastics. Clint was named the top male gymnast in high school before graduating in 1987. Clint said he'd always wanted to be an artist since he was in grade school, but didn't display any particular talent at the time. Clint remembers a time when he drew a picture of a man playing by a pool and called it his masterpiece. In junior and senior high, Clint got D's in his art classes and became very frustrated, but didn't give up. He ended up going to college, getting low grades again, but said his main interest was gymnastics. Sadly, Clint got injured and couldn't compete professionally. According to Josh, one of Clint's first jobs was a vacuum cleaner salesman, and he even attended a class that taught him how to vacuum properly so he could be a better salesman. Clint went back to college at the age of 21 and took night classes at Casper College in photography. He knew when he first held a camera that it was his destiny to become a photographer. He said he became interested in photo montage after seeing a poster by artist Jerry Ulsman in his instructor's office. Clint asked his instructor how to create photo montage art, but his instructor said it was too advanced for his course, Introduction to Photography. Clint ignored his tutor and began spending 20 to 30 hours a week trying to develop photo montage skills. However, he would end up quitting the photography course, feeling that art and photography were just better as hobbies and not career paths. Josh's parents met in Casper, Wyoming, and got married between December 14th and the 21st, 1990. As you can see from this newspaper article, Josh's mother was mistakenly named Laurel. Joshua Faye Saunders was born March 26, 1991, in Casper, Wyoming, at the Wyoming Medical Center. Josh was born with underdeveloped lungs and was placed in an incubator. Josh's parents were very young, only 20 and 21 years old at the time. When Josh was a child, apparently Laura did not breastfeed him and instead opted to feed him formula. Josh claimed that he had a bad reaction to this formula and it allegedly made him bleed from his rectum. At this time, Clint was working at a convenience store and later claimed he was only earning $3 an hour. Clint shared a small apartment with Laura and Josh. Clint owned a '66 Mustang since the age of 15 that he had restored. Unfortunately, he totaled his car by crashing it into a deer, but ended up selling it to help pay for Josh's medical bills. Josh's parents ended up getting divorced in 1992 or 93. Josh described his biological mother as being crazy, possibly suffering from a mental illness, and said that Clint had to fight for custody of Josh. Josh often spoke about the custody battle between his parents and said that his mum would take him to church every time he had visitation with her. Josh said that his biological mother's family were tight-knit Christians. Sometime after their divorce, Clint was forced to move to Miles City, Montana to share custody of Josh because Laura's parents lived in Billings, Montana. Josh recalled a time when his dad took him to see some family members around Christmas, but the trip was cut short when Laura fraudulently called the police on Clint. Laura attempted to maintain a relationship with Josh throughout his life by sending him clothes and candy, but Josh hated it and developed a deep-seated contempt for her as the years passed. Around this time, Clint started his own gymnastics training business and claimed to have several branches in Montana for around 7 years. While in Miles City, Montana, Clint coached in a club called Rhino Gymnastics for Kids in Miles City and Glendive, Montana. The club was apparently named after Clint's favorite animal, a rhino. Clint and one of his gymnastics teams went on to compete in the United States of America Gymnastics Junior Olympics. Clint rented a space for his gymnastics class in a church which boasted a bell tower that Josh became enamored with. This could possibly be the origin of what would become a lifelong obsession for Josh. Josh said that he was always obsessed with bell towers and said that he grew up watching Disney films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame and studied Big Ben, the famous clock tower in London, England. Around 1993, Josh began kindergarten. When Josh was 3 years old, he said he became fascinated with tobacco pipes after seeing the cartoon character Roger smoke one in the 1961 children's cartoon animation 101 Dalmatians. Josh also claimed that his passion for music started around this age. One of Josh's fondest memories of kindergarten was going to a park in Miles City, Montana called the Triangle Park and looking at the church bells of Sacred Heart Catholic Church. Josh claimed he was speaking at a 5th grade level at this point and said he didn't fit in socially with the other students because they were just learning their ABCs and he felt he was intellectually superior. However, Josh was held back a year due to a lack of social skills required to complete kindergarten. Josh said that this made him feel stupid for a long time until his dad later assured him that it was his Asperger's syndrome that held him back in kindergarten. Sometime before 1995, Clint gained sole custody of Josh. Throughout his childhood, Josh's family knew something was off with him and said that he was different from other children. Clint took him from doctor to doctor, and Josh was put on several medications including Strattera and Ritalin for ADHD, and Zoloft, an antidepressant, to try and improve his behaviour before he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 2004 when he was 13 years old, and he was also sent to counsellors. To better understand Josh's mental health, Clint ended up going back to college to study psychology and work with kids with mental health issues. Clint claimed he had quit good jobs for lesser paying ones so that he could spend more time with Josh at home and help him. Josh said that he created his first food combo in Miles City, Montana, when he mixed nacho cheese Doritos with Cheetos. On August 31st, 1995, Clint ended up meeting his future wife Tanis Loverchek at Miles Community College, where she was teaching history and government studies. Clint said that he only enrolled in her course because he heard a rumor from one of his friends that there was a new hot history teacher. Clint ended up dropping out of her class very early, but asked Tanis out on a date. Tanis accepted, and they had their first date on September 9th, becoming engaged only a week later on September 14th. Tanis is originally from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and graduated from East High School in 1986. On June 16, 1996, Clint and Tanis got married in Tanis' home city and capital of Wyoming, Cheyenne, where Josh was the ring bearer. In 1997, Clint and Tanis had their first child together, named Tiana. Also in 1997, Josh's biological mother, Laura, gave birth to Josh's half-sister. Sometime in the 1st grade, Josh had to do a school project about his ancestry and make a poster. Josh said that he found out he had British ancestry due to there being a mansion with his last name, Saunders, located somewhere in England. Josh spoke about his 1st grade teacher named Mrs. Hammerlick, who was very old and drank a lot of coffee and was very mean to him. According to Josh, when she taught him how to read, she prevented him from sounding out words and forced him to track the words with his finger. This apparently hindered Josh's learning, and he claimed that he couldn't read that well until the 8th grade. Josh credited J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter novels for helping him learn to read. As an aside, Clint made a post on the KingCobraJFS subreddit in 2018 recounting the difficulties he had with Josh and the struggles Josh faced growing up. In this revealing post, Clint said that Josh's obsession with having crushes on girls began in the 1st grade. Josh had a crush on the prettiest girl in school and was often hazed by his classmates for liking her. Other students would be cruel and send Josh fake love letters pretending to be from his crush for the remainder of the year. In 1998, Clint and his family moved to South Lake Tahoe, California, and worked as a gymnastics coach and as a security guard for a casino. Josh said that his first experience smelling pipe tobacco was in Lake Tahoe, California. Josh's first paranormal experience was on Easter in a church that his parents took him to in Lake Tahoe. He prayed to God to see Jesus and claimed that he saw him. Josh's first time seeing a bat was when he saw his stepmom Tanis perform at a play, and it was goth as fuck. While in elementary school, Josh was rejected for the very first time by a girl named Daly Perucci that he developed a crush and an obsession with. Daly is happily married and has 2 children. Josh's mum Tanis got the opportunity to go to the University of Dakota in Grand Forks to get her doctorate in history. In 1998 or 99, Josh's family moved to Grand Forks, North Dakota for roughly a year. Clint once again ended up going back to college at the age of 28 to study psychology as his major and worked as a career counselor as well as delivered pizza for Little Caesars. Clint ended up dropping all of his courses and switched to art and photography again. The only thing Josh can remember about living in Grand Forks was that he used to watch anime like Dragon Ball Z, Tenchi Muyo, and Sailor Moon. Josh recalled his dad buying a blue and hot pink 92 Geo Tracker convertible that he and his dad were going to work on as a project. Josh said that it was his plan to spray paint the car royal blue with black flames to match its blue and black interior. Josh alleged that some kids broke into his car and tore out the CD player, amplifier and speakers and threw it into his neighbour's yard, which turned out to be his parents' landlord. Josh ordered an Awuga horn, CD player, amplifier, speakers, a new carpet and a new top for the car. Josh's stepmom also bought him a steering wheel cover as a present. Josh was also planning to use a snakehead from a walking cane as a shifter knob. The walking cane originally had a sword in it, but Clint probably knew best and took it out. In the year 2000, Clint moved his family to Valley City, North Dakota, where he attended Minnesota State University and graduated in 2001 with a Bachelor of Science in Graphic Communications. Sadly, the Geo Tracker engine broke, and a brand new one was out of what was presumably Clint's budget. It's assumed that Clint put everything back into the car and sold it, but Josh got to keep all of his hardware for his next project car. In Valley City, Clint was also a curator and an art gallery manager, and an art teacher at Valley City State University from 2003 to 2005. Tanis also worked at Valley City State University. Shortly after arriving at Valley City, Josh's parents signed Josh up to a church function / field trip so that Josh could meet new kids and make new friends. During this field trip, this was the first time he would see Alicia Rhodey and had a crush on her instantly. At the end of the trip, Josh bought her a purse from a coin machine for 50 cents at a pizza restaurant after going go-karting. Josh attempted to give Alicia the purse, but she left it on the table on purpose. Josh thought that Alicia forgot her purse and attempted to give it back to her on the bus, but Josh discovered that she had a boyfriend. When Josh was in 4th grade, in the year 2000 or 2001, he said he was horrendously bullied in school and on the playground, and even on the bus to school. It got so bad that even the bus driver had to complain. Josh said that the 4th grade was the worst time of his life. Josh's earliest memory that sparked his obsession with snakes and cobras began after playing the early 90s computer game Buzzy the Knowledge Bug, specifically the jungle version. Josh distinctively remembers clicking on a cobra and it hissing. Around 2002, Josh's obsession with cobras and snakes grew after watching The Crocodile Hunter spitting cobras of the world on VHS. Josh's first encounter with a real cobra was he went to the Reptile Gardens in Nemo, South Dakota. The Reptile Gardens had a Malaysian and an Indian cobra on display, and he quote-unquote spurged out. Around this time when Josh was 10 or 11 years old, he began special ed and rode the short bus to school. Josh said he knew a kid named Taylor who would copy everything he said, and also a kid named Juanito who was deaf. Josh claimed he taught Juanito how to flip people off. Josh had a minor misunderstanding with a girl with red hair on the bus after insulting her old grandma by asking if the secret to her mortality was eating lots of yogurt. The girl ended up telling her grandmother, and when the bus came to pick her up, her grandmother would shake her fist at Josh, and in return, Josh made the deaf kid Juanito flip her off. Josh also recalled a time when he got a girl in special ed class to show her breasts to him. For the majority of Josh's education, he had to go to the resource room to help him learn because of his Asperger's. Josh said that the resource room really helped him learn, but opened him up to more bullying by other students. In 2004, Josh was finally diagnosed with autism after Clint's mother read an article about the disorder and the characteristics that fit Josh. As mentioned earlier, Josh was placed on different medications until he was 18 years old. Although Josh claims this was when he was diagnosed, he contradicts and possibly misremembers exactly when his parents found out he had autism. Shortly after being diagnosed with autism, Josh told his dad he was still getting bullied on the bus. Clint allegedly rode the bus to school with Josh and lectured the students about Josh and his autism. Josh claimed that this helped and the kids stopped bullying Josh for the most part. Whilst in 6th grade, Josh was friends with another handicapped student named Marshall Peterson. Josh remembered a time when his teacher, Mrs. Gaylor, pulled him and the other students into a classroom and taught them about sex. Josh said that he was hot under the collar, learning about sex for the very first time. Clint has said in the past, due to Josh's autism, he has the mind of an 11 or 12-year-old, and would constantly brag about things that he thought was cool, like his sexual conquests. For many years, Clint tried to instill a sense of respect for women in Josh, teaching him not to treat them like objects. According to Clint, Josh's whole family are feminists. Around this time in 2004, the popular video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was released, and Josh bugged his dad to get it for him. After spending a few hours with Josh whilst he played it, Clint became very offended by the amount of violence towards women in the game, like killing hookers. Clint put his foot down and said that these types of video games were not allowed in his household. Clint said that he argued with Josh over the subject millions of times, but he never relented. Before junior high at Valley City Junior Senior High School, when Josh was roughly 12 or 13 years old, he really wanted a guitar and found one he really wanted. So he asked his parents to buy it for him, but they told him he had too many instruments and he had to buy it for himself. But they offered to pay for lessons. So Josh began his very first job with a paper route at the Valley City Times Record, delivering newspapers in the winter. Josh finally got enough money and bought his BC Rich Warlock for $777 and some odd cents online from the website musiciansfriend.com. Josh nicknamed his guitar the Grim Reaper. Josh had two teachers growing up, Zach McGoth and John Rudolph. After only learning the basics, Josh stopped taking guitar lessons. Josh also quit the paper route to join the wrestling team in high school. Whilst in junior high, Josh would develop a strange, self-indulgent brand of spiritualism, placing himself as sort of an icon at the centre of it. Josh formed what he called a gang or a cult with his close friends, and they would smoke cigarettes and practice magic. Josh said that the cult's colours were black and green, his favourite colours. Josh said that he was the leader of the gang, and dubbed himself King Cobra, a nickname he would go on to use as his persona across all of his creative endeavours, including his music and on YouTube. This cult idea would evolve into creating his own religion, loosely based on Satanism, whose followers are dubbed the Cobra Demons. The religion's main deity is a god called Cobratin, and a goddess called Cobratius, and their son Cabrero. Josh spoke vaguely about his religion, and said that male members of his religion were called Cobra Demons, and if a Cobra Demon had a girlfriend, they would be called a Cobra Angel. Josh expanded on the lore, saying that there are good and bad Cobra Angels and Demons, and said that animals could be Cobra Angels and Cobra Demons. Josh also said that there was a great war fought between the animal Cobra Demons and Angels, and the King Cobra ultimately, after many years of battle, emerged victorious. Josh was later quizzed about his religion and was asked if males can be Cobra angels, but Josh said no, and that Satan told him that it had to be this way because it was easier to understand. Josh said that his religion was heavily based on Harry Potter and wanted to write his own story about his religion, but it never materialized. As well as being influenced by the novels, the creation of Josh's religion probably also served as a way for him to cope with the stresses of being a social pariah. Central to his own internal mythos, Josh created his now famous symbol. Josh said that he would draw the well-known Stussy S and the head of a hooded cobra, and then receive divine inspiration and combine them both to form what some might say is a vaguely phallic symbol, and named it the Cobragram. Originally, as Josh explains it, the 4 circles represent energy, mind, spirit, and body. The Stussy S resembles all 4 elements entwining with each other back into itself. The line connecting both symbols represents belief. Over the years, Josh has revised the meaning of the origin of the Cobragram. The exact significance has become very fuzzy, with Josh struggling to explain the original meaning and importance of not only the Cobragram, but also his religion overall. Josh would later say that his symbol is meant to represent the image of a hooded cobra from behind, and that's all. Later, when Josh turned 18 years old, Josh got his Cobragram tattooed on his forearm by the cousin of his first guitar instructor, Zach McGoth, at McGoth Tattoo Parlor in Valley City, North Dakota. In the beginning, Josh's parents were accepting of his religion and went along with it. However, as Josh got older and it became more deeply ingrained into his already unstable personality, Clint threatened to send Josh to a psychologist and told him that he needed some help. Josh claims that Clint told him he was psychotic and that he didn't have Cobra powers. Clint tried to make Josh understand that it was his Asperger's syndrome that was the reason why he was so obsessed about these beliefs. Josh was mad at his parents and argued the case that this was his freedom of religion and he had the right to believe in whatever he wanted because it wasn't hurting anyone. Clint gave in, but cautioned Josh he shouldn't talk about his made-up religion because it would make him look quote-unquote crazy. In junior high, Josh had a crush on actress Lindsay Lohan. Josh recalled a time when he was playing basketball in gym class and spaced out thinking about her and got an erection. Josh said that this was very inappropriate and the other kids made fun of him. When Josh was around 12 or 13, he used his grandparents' computer in their basement to try and search for naked pictures of singer Britney Spears. Josh forgot to clear his search history, and at the dinner table, his granddad told him, "So, I heard Britney Spears has some nice boobies." At the end of Josh's junior year, he mixed some of his parents' Bacardi from the liquor cabinet with some juice and drank it. After Josh got tipsy, he attended the school dance at the Valley City Teen Center. Josh fondly recounted dancing like a male stripper to AC/DC and flirted with the girls. Josh also fondly recounted seeing 2 girls kissing and became very aroused. After the dance, Josh's parents found out that he had pilfered their alcohol and they punished him for it. Around this time, Josh went back to Cheyenne to see his family. Although he couldn't remember who arranged it, Josh ended up meeting with his biological mother Laura at the mall and they ate pizza. Josh said that they hardly spoke to each other and described the experience as being very awkward. This would be the last time he would meet his biological mother Laura in person. In 2005, Josh's half-sister Sammy was born. Sammy was born with hearing difficulties and a medical condition called funnel chest, a condition which a person's breastbone is sunken into their chest. Around this time, Josh discovered Cradle of Filth after searching for ghost videos on Google Video. Cradle of Filth's song, Her Ghost in the Fog, was recommended as a video. Josh listened to the song and was instantly an adorant fan. Josh's parents, however, didn't like him listening to this type of music and took some half-assed measures to prevent him from listening to the band. These attempts obviously failed, and they just made Josh want to listen to them even more. In his desperation to stem Josh's obsession, Clint cited an article about goths being Satanists. Josh claimed he showed his dad an article countering the argument, and Clint apologized to Josh after this rebuttal. Around this time, Josh started listening to Ozzy Osbourne after watching an interview with the lead singer of Cradle of Filth, Danny Filth. Danny Filth said that one of his idols was Ozzy Osbourne, so Josh gave Ozzy a try, and the rest of course is history. Ozzy became one of Josh's idols. In 2006, when he was in his freshman year at Valley City Junior Senior High School, in the previously mentioned subreddit post from 2018, Clint spoke about Josh's hygiene. Clint noted that Josh's hygiene was abysmal, and he would often be late to school because Clint would send Josh back to his room to change in some clean clothes and even brush his teeth, which would of course end up in a massive argument between them both. Clint referenced sensory aversions associated with Asperger's and attributed Josh's objection to normal hygiene practices to this. Josh's poor hygiene, in particular his resistance to oral care, would continue into his adulthood. To try and attract women in school, Josh would wear Axe Chocolate Dark Temptation shower gel on the odd occasion he would shower. As Josh's personality developed throughout his teenage years, we see the beginnings of what would be long-term repetitive and obsessive behaviours and talking points. These included using hygiene products to attract women, becoming a famous musician, becoming rich, building his dream house by winning the lottery, and of course, like most of us, winning the heart of a big-titty gothic queen to share his clock-towered kingdom with. Unlike his peers at this point in his life, he wouldn't grow out of these childish expectations of what his life would be. It could be speculated that Josh indulged in these delusions as a form of escapism. Josh would continue to be mercilessly bullied by other students who would call him weird and commented about his obsession with snakes and cobras. Some of his peers would even go as far as smacking him in the nuts. Josh said that there was a specific time when he was in the cafeteria eating a bowl of Doritos when his neighbour smacked him in the nuts. Josh said he flipped out and beat the kid with a chair and quote-unquote punched every inch of him. Josh said that the kid was fat and didn't put up much of a fight. But apparently, this wasn't Josh's first fight, and he said that he'd been in many fights and claimed he had never lost a single one. In Trap's Gothic King Cobra documentary, Josh called wrestling the gayest sport ever. He said he hated wrestling, and one of the reasons being was he couldn't wear his glasses and he was practically blind during these practice sessions. Josh also mentioned during the documentary that girls would wear singlets for wrestling. He contemplated whether or not he would be disqualified from a match if he were to wrestle a girl and get a boner. Josh also recalled a time when he was getting dressed for wrestling and other students would make fun of his pubic hair, joking that a bear was attacking his crotch. Around this time, Josh said that a girl named Demi kept smacking him in the nuts. Josh said that he would never hit a woman and he let this continue for months. Josh's parents even told her in person at a restaurant to stop hitting Josh in the nuts. Demi ended up ignoring Josh's parents' request. Eventually, Josh grew tired of Demi hitting him in the nuts, so he pushed her down to the ground in front of her friends. Josh believed she had a crush on him and didn't know how to tell him. He said he exclaimed, "I'm tired of people hitting me in the nuts." According to him, he wasn't hit in the nuts ever again from that day forward. Josh would often mention that if he ever told his dad that he liked a girl, Clint would jokingly make fun of Josh for having a crush on them. Infuriated by this, Josh would take an antagonistic approach, calling them ugly and some sort of twisted effort to prove it to his dad he didn't like them after all. The inability to distinguish when people are and aren't joking is a common trait of autism, and could explain why Josh perceived his dad's playful jokes as genuine torment. This is something Clint probably should have been aware of by this time. Throughout high school, Josh's major crush was still Alicia Rhodey, who Josh shared an art class with, and thought that she was the most attractive girl at school. Josh became completely obsessed with her. Alicia teased and bullied Josh in high school along with her quote-unquote preppy friends. Josh claimed that Alicia would come to school wearing revealing clothing, and Alicia would signal to her friends to watch while she got Josh's attention, only to say out loud, "Stop staring at me!" Years later, Josh would try and reframe Alicia's behaviour as her expressing attraction for him. Josh would often accompany his stepmother when she would drop his sister Sammy off at daycare. He recalled a time when he started petting a dog outside the daycare, which coincidentally turned out to be Alicia's dog named Mud. Later in 2010, after Josh left Valley City, he stalked Alicia on social media. Josh even once used his magic to help Alicia win a Hooters competition, where she wore a green dress, green as in Josh's favourite colour, and her number was 4, one of Josh's favourite numbers. Josh also began writing a story that he didn't finish, called A Special Blonde in 2012, which features a protagonist based on Alicia. Sometime in junior high, Josh said he was pressured into smoking weed but declined the offer. He was pressured into smoking weed again in his senior year at Natrona High in Casper by his friend Tevin Reams, and he accepted. Josh says that smoking weed helps with his Asperger's and chooses to self-medicate. In high school, Josh got more and more frustrated with being bullied and took it out on a disabled student named Carl Odegaard. Josh claims that Carl was very annoying and would bug Josh constantly trying to be his friend. Josh recalled a particularly bothersome thing that Carl would do, and it was that he would call his shoes smileys. Josh recalled a time that he got Carl to get aggressive towards him after Josh hugged a girl that Carl liked named Jennifer. Carl ended up taking a swing at Josh but missed, and Josh threatened to punch him. However, a teacher intervened before he could and sent Josh to class. Josh said that if he hit Carl, all the other kids in school would be mad at him for bullying a special needs kid. Josh's parents and teachers were very upset with him and lectured him about bullying Carl at a parent-teacher meeting. Patronizingly, they said that they should be friends because he and Carl were alike. Josh told himself he wasn't like Carl and said that this was the moment his gothic Cobra inside of him awakened. Josh said that this was the exact moment he knew he was goth. Josh went on to list off reasons why he was in fact nothing like Carl. He said the experience made him hate Carl even more. Josh also found it frustrating that other students could bully him, but he couldn't do it to another kid that was more disabled than him. Later, Josh would try and justify his behaviour towards Carl by claiming that he was bullied by Carl first. In high school, Josh still thought of himself as the class clown and would do things like pick his nose and eat it in front of his classmates. Later in his adulthood, Josh would say that this was one of his biggest regrets. On October 29, 2007, Josh attended his first concert ever, the Ozzy Osbourne Black Rain Tour, in Fargo, North Dakota. Sometime in 2008, Josh was gifted a '52 Ford pickup by his grandparents on his dad's side, from their junkyard on their ranch in Cheyenne. Josh nicknamed the pickup The Beast because of the sound of his exhaust. Josh even wrote a song about his pickup on his first album Blood Cemetery called The Beast, but it was cut from the album as it did not fit on a physical CD. Josh and his dad took the truck to a garage in Cheyenne where it sat for 2 years. Clint argued with the mechanics because they planned to move to Casper soon and they wanted the car repaired before then. The mechanics allegedly did a half-assed job and screwed Josh's dad out of a lot of money. Clint ended up threatening to report the mechanics to the Better Business Bureau and it was resolved. Josh's uncle owed his family a favour, so he agreed to work on the truck. Josh's lazy uncle Don was staying with his grandparents at the time, but unfortunately for Josh, he would never finish the repairs. In his senior year, after he turned 18 in 2009, Josh claimed he got his first kiss from a girl he didn't know outside of an abandoned building while he was ditching gym class. Josh said that he was listening to Cradle of Filth and Ozzy Osbourne on his iPod Nano and was smoking a Salem Full 100 when 2 homeschooled girls walked by. They got chatting and one of the girls who had a boyfriend felt bad for Josh and gave him his first kiss. Josh, in a state of total bliss, floated home to tell his dad. Josh's happiness was soon punctured when Clint could smell cigarette smoke from Josh as soon as he got home. At this point, Josh said that he would never get advice about girls from his dad ever again. Clint would later claim as soon as Josh turned 18 years old, he became an adult and stopped taking his medication and instantly began smoking because he wanted to be normal. In Valley City, Josh got his first job at a frozen pizza factory called The Pizza Corner. which was owned by Clint's friend. Josh worked on the production line. Pizza Corner was eventually sold, and Clint would go on to start a photography business with the owner called Obsessed Photographers. On May 28, 2009, Clint announced on social media that he and his family were moving back to Casper, Wyoming. Josh started school at Natrona County High School in Casper as a senior on August 22, 2009. Josh created his Facebook account around this time and posted about starting in his new school. Josh made friends with Christopher Moore, Michael Baldwin, and Alex Campbell whilst at school, but also endured more bullying. Josh recalled a time when he was on the school bus and younger kids would make fun of him for wearing nail polish, but claimed other kids would stick up for him. Josh even threw insults back at the kids by swearing at them. On September 12th, Josh's friend Chris Moore, who would later be known as Couch Chris, commented on Josh's Facebook post of him pretending to be a white vampire. "Vampire in my house. The white vampire has an evil grin on its face. Lol. Total badass. Thanks." Most of Josh's Facebook history of this time consisted of him posting music videos to his favourite bands, and talking about cars and other random things. On Josh's 19th birthday, Josh said he went to Barnes & Noble with his stepmom Tanis, and she bought him a Playboy magazine. Josh's parents told him that if he didn't graduate from high school, he'd be grounded for the entire summer. Josh said that he spent the last few weeks of senior high busting his ass. Throughout his years in high school, Josh's yearbook photos stood out from those of his peers. He would often pose with his guitar, and Clint would Photoshop the photos to include a badass background and perform some obvious touch-ups on them, including reapplying his eyebrows that Josh would often shave halfway off. Clint was allegedly the photographer that took the senior year photos for Josh's class, including Josh's crush Alicia Rhodey. Clint announced on Facebook that Josh would be graduating from Natrona County High School. "My boy is going to graduate, wahoo!" Because the little stink decided to make us wait until the very last minute, literally, school got out today for seniors, we just found out. I won't have grad invites out before the ceremony, but I will send the announcement as soon as I can. You rock, Josh. On July 28, 2010, Josh created his VampireFreaks profile. On June 13, 2010, Josh created his first YouTube channel under the name Gothic KingCobraJFS 52.